in a sec. The balloons will be blown up for you in advance. We have an air compressor, so we're not spreading COVID germs or anything, right? So you'll have 3 or 4 balloons per group. Okay? Probably 3 balloons, and we'll probably have extra balloons in the hallway if one pops. All right, so I'm gonna pick number 6 to be my de facto leader. You're gonna start. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna point across the circle at somebody and say their name, but don't put your hand down. So, like if I'm in this circle, right, I'm going to say Maddie. Now you can point and say somebody else's name.
Elizabeth.
Okay, keep your hand up. Keep doing that all the way around the circle.
Anushka.
Phoebe. Avery.
Nora. Nalia.
Okay. So, we're going to do that again a couple times. So go ahead in your circles, point across, and keep that finger up after you call that person so that person's name isn't called again.
Number 6. Elizabeth.
Do it 3 times.
Nalia. Maddie. Nora.
You just point to someone.
Sarah.
Clara.
Sam. You gotta keep Wait, what? Who's our person?
If it's given to you, don't do anything with it yet. Stand up. I'm going to start by using, this is called tip of my finger. I'm only going to use my index finger. I'm going to call a person's name, and I'm going to use my index finger to tap the balloon to them. When it gets to them, they're going to use their index finger and tap it, calling the name of somebody else. So the goal would be to make sure that everybody's name is called. The balloon should come back to me, the leader, last. So don't call my name until the end, okay? So we started out, like I'll go like this and I'll say, Brenna. Maggie, move a little bit, there you go.
Oh my God.
Whoa. Amelia, have you been called yet?
Sarah. Oh no, Brenna.
Bring it back to me, guys. Here's the carrot. Send it back to me. But this time, you have to pretend that one foot is glued to the floor. So you can move one foot around and reach that balloon, but the other foot has to stay glued. Let's see if we can do this. Go for it. That's okay. That's enough. So you can send one leader out to get another balloon. Okay.
They obviously call
Okay. And okay. So for this next round, the challenge is to play the same way, using that pointer finger, pointing somebody, using the name. This time, both of your feet are glued to the floor.
One finger.
Lord. Okay, we're gonna up the ante here. Here's what's gonna happen. I'll take the balloon here. I am going to throw this balloon up high in the air, and our goal.
You guys are really bad at this.
Maybe we'll throw them up quite a bit. The goal is to get everybody's name said before the balloon hits the ground. So like I would start out and I would say like Henry, and then Henry says somebody else's name. But nobody touches it.
We'll just go in a circle.
Name at the same time. Why would we go in a circle?
We can do this.
So
Oh, it's a trick.
the goal here is to name. The goal is to name all the members of the group, like in step 2, without repeating a name before the balloon hits the ground. So I'm going to tap the balloon into the air, and I'm going to call the person's name in the group. That person calls another name, so on. And we want to get everybody's name in. Everybody's name in before it hits the ground. Are you ready to give it a try, guys? You guys ready? Here we go.
Francis.
Nobody bats it. Stop.
No, we fair name at the same time.
You are not batting the balloon this time. You're just letting it drift to the ground. And the goal is to say every person's name before it hits the ground, okay? We'll try this for a couple times.
Just everyone say their name.
Like, I say the first name, and then somebody else says the next name. You figure out how to do it.
Everyone says the name of the person to your right.
Okay, done.
You don't tap it. You just throw it up and
And say your own name.
Ready?
Ben. Ben.
We're good. I did it. Elizabeth.
Alright, so we do this activity because it's teamwork, it's movement, it's fun, but it's kind of goofy, and there's a structure to it. So it's teamwork, movement, fun, and it's goofy and structured. What's important about this? It shows if we know each other's names. We're making sure everyone is included. When you were getting to that last piece, you were starting to strategize. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's some strategy going on. How can we do this before the balloon hits the ground? And then it's really important that the leader goes last. So you're the last name to be called. So just tell them, like, Maddie, start us off. I'm going to be the last name called. Because that allows you to control the balloon and stop things. This really kind of goes in 3 parts. Part 1 is like step 1, which is already done for you, through step 5, which is just like pointing the balloon. So if you want to kind of do like a bracket or something like that's like part 1. 1 through 5 is part 1. Part 2 is step 6 and 7, playing with 1 foot glued to the ground, and then 2 feet glued to the ground. And it's going to get silly. Kids are going to be falling over and stuff. Laugh with them. Have fun with them. That's the fun of this, right? It should be kind of goofy and silly. And then part 3 is steps 8 through 12. Now I want to read those to you because I just took you through it. So the final challenge is this: the leader taps the balloon, and you can use your whole hand here. But prior to that, you want to make sure everybody's just using their pointer. You tap it high into the air as possible, and you call a person's name in the group. That person calls another name, and so on. The goal is to name all the members of the group, like in step 2, without repeating a name before the balloon hits the ground. You're going to have to attempt to be successful, but don't do this more than 5 times. So do it once, they don't get it. Okay guys, that didn't seem to work. What's a better way to do this? That's about all you can say to them. Please don't give them a strategy. Let them work out if there is a strategy. They can't say their own name. They have to say somebody else's name. And technically, you guys, we really didn't do it because you're supposed to Like, I should have said Ben, and then Ben should have said Henry, and then, you know, it should have gone that way. But the goal here is to be fast. Make sure, if it's not working, you know, this isn't working, you guys, what else can we do? And then if they get it, celebrate. If after 5 tries they don't get it, that's okay. You can just say, hey, let's just stop now. Maybe we can try again before the end if we have some extra time. I think we can do this. But you gotta move on. Don't spend too long on this. Name ball scramble is super, super important. But there's other activities after tip of my finger that are super important. And we already know everybody's name. So if after 5 times they don't get it, move on. If you end up having extra time before you're supposed to leave for the classroom tour, you can come back to it. Okay, so what's important on the second page? I just wrote down that you need to keep an eye out for anyone whose name hasn't been called, and if you have more than one web leader in your group, that's where that person can kind of like try to tap it to that kid. So making sure that those kids get called. And then the last thing I wrote down here is just let them problem solve. Let them be the problem solvers. Give them what they need and no more. Don't talk too much. Energy, enthusiasm, excitement. That's your good to great. Bring the energy, enthusiasm, and excitement. Encourage that goofy behavior. It's okay to be goofy and miss the ball. Or the balloons.